Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of BrainScratch. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is the first of two very special episodes. We're doing follow-ups on the Jessica Easterly case, and we have some special guests with us to help us come to more of an understanding. There's been some recent news that is kicked out. We might get a bit of a better idea of what is going on in this case, and her sister Audrey in particular has been promoting a lot of information online that might help us understand what's really going on here. So with all that being said, let me introduce our guests. And this is, starting from the left, we have Amanda Barnes. She is Jessica Easterly's sister. In the middle, we have Maria Antonia, who is Jessica's best friend. And on the right, we have Audrey Schmidt, who is Jessica's sister. And really, I'd say waging a war online to pull attention to this case. It's really because of Audrey that I even came to know this case. So welcome, ladies. Welcome to BrainScratch.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
You got it. And Audrey, I just wanted to say I was inspired by your energy and your efforts to get people's attention to this case. And I certainly think that Jessica would be proud to see that you're not letting this go. Actually, all of you. And Maria, I know that you've also been speaking up on Facebook a little bit about this case as well. So, of course, we have the unfortunate circumstance that I believe two of you that are sitting there actually discovered Jessica, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be touching on that as we go forward as well. Just to start with, based on the last video that I did on this case, was there any corrections that we needed to make or any information that was inaccurate? I know, Audrey, at one point you had told me about the porn accounts that were shut down on social media, that wasn't really you guys, but that was the community, like the viewers that were doing that?
Well, that was actually, that was, and they want to remain anonymous, but that was some of the porn community that got the Twitter shut down. We had been trying to get Twitter shut down for months, and they just did not respond. And apparently, he was telling the porn community that she died in November, which is far from the truth. So they got very upset with that, and they had no idea about any of this.
Yeah.
And whenever I got on Twitter, I made it known and started following these people and just started, posting my stuff about Jessica. And I had message after message,
Wow. And I just want to put out there that just goes to show you can never anticipate what type of response you're going to get from people, even people that are, consuming graphic content online. When it comes to something like that, they did the right thing and they helped you get those accounts shut down.
Right. I'm so thankful for them.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, because I do recognize there's something to this where you might consider that Vivian is a character and maybe he's putting out the information that character has passed away and he feels like it's just a character. I can just say that it happened recently because that's going to help me with the GoFundMe or something like that. But the truth behind all this is a very real person. This is a person that is way more than whatever that character was. And for that community to recognize that and act in that way really warms my heart. So thank you guys.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you guys for doing that. Can you tell us a bit more about Jessica? It was kind of hard to find a lot of information about her as a person. Like, what type of hobbies did she have? What jobs did she work? What did she like?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Jessica had a pretty extensive background in the service industry. We, waited tables together. I was the annoying hostess that always double sat everybody and got on everybody's nerves. So she worked at the casinos. She worked in some local restaurants here on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. What else?
That was her primary.
That was her primary. Industry. And then once she got into this last relationship, all of that kind of evaporated.
So, what about her in terms of a personality? Is she someone that was the joker? Is she someone that you found particularly caring? What'd you think of her as a friend, Maria?
She was so quick-witted. Like, she would come back with something funny that would just like, it would like kind of like hit you in the gut, like how funny she was. Like, you would never know what to expect from her. It was always a good conversation. And, you know, like, people don't really call each other and talk on the phone anymore, to the point to where it's almost, you know, socially kind of like you don't do it. It's annoying. But for Jessica, it was always worth it to make time because it was going to put you in a better mood. You were going to laugh.
She was happy-go-lucky.
She was a very upbeat kind of girl.
Yeah.
She was.
Amanda, you have any thoughts on Jessica as a sister?
Supportive. Whenever we were growing up, she's the one who taught me how to do makeup. The one who I would go to cry to whenever I was having boy troubles.
Yeah.
She was a absolute MacGyver whenever it came to dressing somebody. She could take your old nasty T-shirt and a pair of raggedy jeans and make you look red carpet ready. She was just
straight out of a magazine.
She could do it.
Wow.
She introduced us to all types of music, everything from Big Head Todd to Tony Braxton, Biggie. Oh, she loved Biggie.
Yeah.
That's just who she was. She just had that personality.
Was she ever married before Justin?
No.
Long-term relationships, I assume?
A few along the way, like all of us, you know.
Yeah. Was this someone that kind of got to a point in her life and decided that she really wanted to have a marriage? Was she the type of person that always wanted to get married?
I'd say yes. I mean, not in a I have to have a man right now way, but you know, she wanted the white picket fence and 2-story house and 2.5 kids. That's
Yeah. She wasn't the sort of girl that would cling to a relationship over being her own person, though. She was happy to be just Jessica and be on her own and not be in a relationship. I mean, I know some girls that it's one long-term relationship to the next, no breaks in between because they just have to have somebody else to fill them out. She was a complete person. She was happy being on her own.
Gotcha. And did she ever have any children?
No.
And is that why this relationship was so special with Justin's daughter?
She definitely
She pretty much raised her.
Yeah. She was very emotionally attached to Grace.
Yeah.
Grace was her mini-me.
Yeah. So we've got no children, not married previously, a couple of relationships, and then she meets this guy on a boat. Now, we talked about it a little bit on the last episode. Was he actually married at the time?
He was.
Okay. So that part of it is right. When did you first meet Justin? Audrey, let's start with you.
I've never met him in person. I lived in Kansas City for 26 years, so I always talked to him on the phone.
And what were your initial impressions of him?
At first, I mean, I was, just trying to get to know him. And then after a while, me and Justin had words on the phone. He said some inappropriate things to me, and that just didn't fly with me. So I got really upset about it. And I told Jessica, he's a piece of shit. How could you sit there and let him say something like that? And, so then after that, it was just every time we talked, we would have to be on speakerphone where he would listen, and he would always chime in. And, he's a piece of shit. He really is.
Yeah, I see that you frequently refer to him as a POS all over the internet. So, yeah. But it sounds like you came to that conclusion kind of early. Did this cause strain between you and Jessica when you were fighting with him?
No, not at first, but later on it did. It was to the point to where when she would call me, she would be whispering, and I'd be like, "What are you whispering for?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't want to wake Justin up." Or, one of our things was if we didn't talk to each other on the phone, we would write on Facebook, like truth, like that's I say truth all the time, or song lyrics, or SUP, sup. And then the other one would reply. So that way we knew that everything was okay if we didn't talk to each other.
Well, and considering the fact that when you did talk to her and he was around, he would force her to be on speakerphone, essentially, so he could hear what you guys were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you already knew that was a strange control mechanism that was happening in their relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really realize it until, I mean, I thought it was strange, but I mean.
To what extent?
I mean, I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't really think anything of it until all the pieces started fitting and all this happened. It was like, oh my God, how did I not see that? Because, you know, she never told me that he hit her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that was a pride thing, or, you know, I think also maybe because she just knew that I would not have put up with that. I would have went down there and I would have got her.
Yeah.
I would have got her out of that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I said it in the last video, but just so I can say it to you guys now, I really hope that none of you are blaming yourself. I know, Maria, you put out some messages where it seemed like you were really kind of getting down on yourself because she had reached out to you that night before. There's no way to know that this was going to happen. And I really hope that you're not staying stuck in that spot too much. I'm pretty sure Jessica wouldn't want you to be stuck in that spot either. But I can totally understand it, especially with the communication that was going on. But once again, you don't know what level is going on here. If it's just him being weird about phone calls, that's one thing. If it's him being jealous about her relationships with men, that's another. I mean, there's kind of different levels to these relationships and what happens. Marie, did you have any indicators that things were tough in their relationship and maybe she was dealing with some heavier stuff?
How far do y'all want me to get into this? You want me to just say it and just rip it off?
Well, what are you going to say?
Just about her wanting to get out and how far we planned it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so spring of last year, I had a job offer in Orlando. And I wasn't really sure if I was going to take the job. It was tentatively scheduled to possibly consider a move during the summer. Okay. So I wasn't sure if the relationship I'm in was going to be able to follow me because, my boyfriend has custody issues with his son and his ex. And so with Jessica being somebody I could confide in and kind of like verbally just kind of blah and like go over my plans with all the time, I was like, I really want to consider taking this job. It's good money. It's a good position. It's going to look great on a resume. I don't know if my boyfriend's going to be able to go with me, if our relationship is going to last this move. And furthermore, I don't know if I'm going to have the support I need to take this job and move to a city where I don't have, a network of family and support and be able to take care of my kids the way they need. And she was very keen to go with me. And she was very open and honest about the fact that, if I really want to get away from Justin, I'm going to have to, and this will explain some of my confusion with my very initial post. She was like, I'm going to have to, get a new cell phone and get new doctors to write my prescriptions. And like, I'm going to have to completely cut my life off and start over because if I try to leave him, he will hunt me down and kill me. He's got, buddies from, the Marines that will help him. And I was always just like, Jessica, no, he doesn't. No, he won't. And that's part of the guilt that I struggle with now. Is she said to me time and time again, if I try to leave, he will kill me. He's told me point blank, you can't leave. I will kill you. And so she was like, Orlando might work. Orlando might be far enough away to where I could be safe getting away from him. But I have to change my phone number. I have to go completely off the radar. Like if I pop my head up at all, he will find me and he will kill me. I was like, Jessica, he doesn't have friends. He doesn't have resources. Like, when was the last time anybody even came over to watch a ball game with y'all? That's not a thing that happens. Like, all of these people that he says he has, where are they? Because you would see evidence if he had this buddy network. And she still fed into the whole, anyway. So,
but I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's effectively, you're getting some insight into a control mechanism that he's using with her specifically. If nothing else, it might not be real, but the story that she's believing is obviously being sold to her by him.
He said, if you try to leave, I'll kill you. And then she said, hey, can you come get me? I want to leave now. And now she's no longer with us. Yeah. It's a pretty straight line from point A to point B.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. Wow. So when did you get to meet him, Amanda? Did you meet him, or did you talk to him on the phone initially?
I met him, I want to say 2 times total. Hyper. I don't know how else to put it other than hyper. I had a hard time sitting still. Tended to talk in circles. Full of himself. I don't know how else to explain that.
A narcissist pig.
Yeah, that came out later. But initially, I thought just, full of himself. That was what he was.
So were you aware of the CamWorks stuff before all this, or did that come out through investigating what happened to her?
I was after.
It was after. Okay. And how did you guys feel about that when you learned about it?
I was admittedly shocked, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't pay her bills, and she's an adult. Yep. If that's what she wants to do, that's her business.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I did notice some people were commenting on seeing pictures of her, and they were saying that she seemed kind of like zoned out or disconnected in some of the photos. Did you feel that way when you saw, like, in the interview in particular?
I did.
What about it, Audrey? Did you have any impressions on that?
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't you be zoned out if you had something like that around you? I know I would be. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
I found out about the Cam stuff because she came and spent Thanksgiving 2018 with us. Like, I drove to New Orleans. I picked up her and Grace and the dog, and he followed us on his motorcycle. The invitation was really just for her, because when we talked on the phone, she was in, an unhappy place in the relationship. And I was like, well, why don't you come spend Thanksgiving with me? And that would give me something to look forward to, because I had just had another birthday. And, as you get older, the birthdays become more of a judgment than a celebration. It's like, I'm how old? So she was like, yeah, no, let me talk to Justin about it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not what I meant. But so then she talked to Justin about it, and she was like, we're in. And I was like, oh, okay. So now everybody's coming. Great. Okay, come on. So, and they were, she was telling me about it, and she was like looking at some stuff on her phone. And I was just like, kind of clutching my pearls. I was like, we're Southern ladies. That's not what Southern ladies do. But, I kind of felt like I didn't realize how much their income was dependent on it at that point. I thought maybe they were just bored,
having fun
in their marriage, sexually, and trying to spice things up. I mean, in their 40s, trying to, figure out how to, excite each other. And so I was just like, whatever it is you want to do, go do it. You're my friend. But like, at that point, I had no idea what their stage names were. So I had no access to it. And he went on and on and on about how, well, I've got all these VPNs where I can just block it in these certain states. So nobody in Mississippi, Louisiana, or Alabama can see any of this. And I don't know that much about streaming things on the internet, or if it's possible. I didn't think it sounded logical that he could block certain regions of the internet from viewing internet content. But it was just one more of those things where it was like, okay, Jessica, whatever you want to believe, because it seemed like whatever came out of his mouth, she just kind of
went with it.
What's the survival thing? The syndrome?
Oh,
Stockholm.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome.
Everything was kind of a survival technique with her. Like, if he said it, she would just kind of like parrot, agree. Like, it was very much like just trying to go along to get along.
Makes it sound better than what it really is.
Yeah, I gotcha. So we had to take just a little break because there was a snowplow that came through, and there's barely any snow, but it kept beeping. So we are back, and we were just talking, and Maria wanted to share a little more information just about what Jessica was doing in terms of trying to start businesses and stuff. Maria, will you tell us about that?
Jessica she was kind of a brainstormer, a survivor. She always had, an idea for something, and she tried to do where she was like jazzing up flip-flops with like flowers and rhinestones and stuff and trying to sell them. But when she would go out and about with those, she said that he would follow her around, which is, completely abnormal. Anytime she left the house, she would come back to a barrage of questions. Where have you been? Who have you been talking to? If he couldn't, actually like track her down. She also got extra work because there's a lot of filming that goes on in New Orleans.
Sure.
She was in, what was the movie that was just filmed there with the band? With Nikki Sixx and The Dirt.
Oh, The Dirt.
Yeah, she was an extra in The Dirt. Mm-hmm. She was an extra in Claws.
NCIS.
The
Purge.
But she always felt pressured to try to find roles for both of them. Because if they were both there on set, then it wasn't anything she tried to do without him was a betrayal.
Yeah, it really seems like there's a very unhealthy codependence thing that's going on here. And of course, some messages that Audrey, you've shared online in particular, point towards a troubled and quite frankly, just abusive relationship. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of those right now. And Audrey, I don't know who originally sent this. The date on it says January 16th, and it looks like she's talking to someone named Lo.
Maria. Maria's name is Lo.
Okay. So, and is this from January 16th, 2019?
2018.
2018. Okay.
No, 2019.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So, about a year ago. Hey, I need to talk to you about this weekend. I'm hiding in the bathroom right now so Justin doesn't hear me. We've been fighting for the past 3 days about everything. He's threatening to kick me out, put me in jail. He's hit me. It's bad. He told me you guys can't come or it's going to be worse for me. Lo, I'm so sorry. I know it's last minute and I feel awful. I don't know what to do. I can recommend somewhere that's reasonable and nice. The Beyond Canal. We stay there a lot, or used to. Lo, I'm scared. Maria, can you tell us a little bit about this conversation? And it sounds like you had a trip planned. Absolutely.
So when they were guests in my home in November of 2018, she opined having to leave because we hadn't seen each other in quite some time. She was like, I hate that I have to leave, and she was sad about it. And I was like, well, we're going to be in New Orleans in just a couple weeks. One of my sons is in competitive cheer, and there was a competition in New Orleans. And I was like, well, we're going to be in New Orleans in a couple weeks. We'll just come stay with y'all. And oh, absolutely. She and Justin were both like, yeah, sure. We've got plenty of room. Come stay with us. And then 3 days before the competition, now there was Mardi Gras Nationals was the competition, and the playoffs were in the Superdome that weekend. So finding some place to stay with 3 days notice was really kind of like, I was not happy. Obviously that they were fighting, and that, what I thought I had hammered out was suddenly kind of tossed aside. And my reply to her was like, okay, thank you for not letting us walk into a bad situation. We'll just find something else. And when she called me later on, I was like, are you tired of this yet? Or like, why are you just sitting there fighting with him? And, she's, things are okay now. He took a nap, he's calmed down, he's asleep. Like, so the fighting for days, like he would stay up for days. And the longer he was awake, the more it was just like
intensified
hell in their house. And she would just have to like try to stay safe and try to keep Grace out of his way. And it was just a really terrible situation. And he would say, get the F out of my house. And then if she tried to leave, well, if you leave, you can't come back and you can't take anything with you.
Right.
Like if you leave with the shirt on your back. So it was leave, but you can't leave.
Yeah.
Because, this would happen time and time again. And I would be like, well, why don't you just come stay with me for a couple days? Like neither of you are working. You're both sitting in that house, not doing much of anything. Of course you're fighting, you don't have anything to keep you busy. You never get a chance to miss each other. You don't have income. So certainly that's got to be stressful. I wasn't really aware of all the income that they supposedly had. But so I would offer, just come stay with me. Well, he says, if I leave, I can't come back and I'm just on my own and I'll never see Grace again.
Now, was it often that she was talking about him hitting her?
That was the first time she never put things in print. So I don't know what specifically about that time made her type it out to me.
Yeah.
Because it got to the point to where she would, I wouldn't call her. She would call me when she could actually talk, because it got to the point to where if I called her, he would sit like right on top of her, listen. And if she didn't have me on speakerphone, she would just sit there and repeat like a parrot. She would repeat everything I say. And then there would be a little pause where she waited for him to respond to what I was saying. And it's like, I didn't call to talk to Justin.
Right.
And if you texted her about something like, relationship issues or advice for my kids, he would like take her phone and I would get like pages and pages of advice from him that was completely unsolicited. Like I wasn't trying to get Justin's advice when I was talking to Jessica,
right.
But he would take her phone from her and respond to other people and listen to her phone calls and like actively participate. Like everything had to be them.
Yeah.
He was never allowed to just be Jessica anymore. So that's why when she called and said, hey, I'm ready to go, and then she didn't call me back, I didn't call her and say, hey, you ready to go? Because he's going to be sitting right there. He's going to be like, what the hell do you mean go? And then she's in a world of because I've made a phone call to her and put her on the spot, you know?
A few things that you've said are making me wonder about a possibility, and I don't know how hard we want to dive into this, but you did mention that when you first met Justin, seemed like he talked in circles. Now we're talking about they've been up for 3 days fighting. Have you guys considered there might be some type of substance abuse issue going on in the house?
I think there was something. I mean,
because who can stay up for 3 days straight? I can't even stay up for 12 hours straight. I need a nap.
I think substance abuse in a terrible, terrible situation is a survival mechanism.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Let's continue with some more posts here coming through Audrey's Twitter account. But I believe this might be between Maria and Jessica again. So this is starting on August 12th. And this is really the chain of conversation where we think something happened. I need to talk to Jonathan about everything tonight when we get home from size practice. And that is you, Maria. That's writing that. Jessica responds, okay, just hang on. I don't know what's going to happen when I get home. Is Jess with you? Grace and I are worried. Okay, so now we've done a time jump to 2 days later, and you've got this same conversation chain where you are usually talking to Jess. I assume it's probably, it's through Facebook Messenger, it looks like. But all of a sudden, we've got Justin messaging you through there. If so, that's fine. We just don't know where she is, and Grace can't handle stress like this. You respond, no, she's not. When was the last time you spoke to her? He says, about noon today, and she left everything here. Keys, car, ID, money. You reply, what about her phone? He says, here too, effing weird, worried, she's never done this. I have no idea, checked everything and everyone I know. You respond, okay, well, I'm sending the police over there. And his response to that is, okay, you're going to freak Grace out, but that is kind of a very strange response for someone that doesn't know where their loved one is, I would think. What's the problem with the police showing up?
Right.
And I understand that, yeah, Grace is going to be freaked out. Isn't she freaked out already because Jessica's missing?
Yeah, you just said she's missing. Like, don't want to freak Grace out? Like, the police should have been there already.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, she's been missing for 9 hours?
Right.
9 p.m. on the dot when he messaged me. Like, this is not somebody that had 9 hours of leash granted to her ever. She, in the entire time they were together, however long that actually was, there was not 9 hours of freedom to herself in its entirety, in the entire relationship. Since she moved in with him, she did not have 9 hours grace given to her with no questions asked.
That is a really good point. When you know the precedent that's set here, this is looking even stranger. So you reply, if Jonathan came home from work and all my stuff was here and the kids didn't know where I was, he would already be talking to the police. He responds to that, I know how to file a missing persons report. Do you think I hurt her or something? So you didn't even prompt a conversation about him hurting her. He is bringing that up in this chain.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit of a strange way for that to come into this conversation. He then responds, the police can't do anything until 24 hours, which we've talked about on this channel a whole lot, is absolutely not true. He's getting that from watching TV. That's not the case at all. She's an adult. Yes, it doesn't matter. You can still file a missing persons report. I'm checking hospitals and jails now. Called hospitals in both jails and not any of them. Called police and missing persons is 24 hours after last seen to file a report. I know that's not true, but I know people hear that occasionally, even when they do call police. Basically, on the channel, I've been advising people, if you hear that, ask for a superior, because there is no formal policy that you have to wait 24 hours.
Right.
But that also makes me wonder if he's actually lying about calling police here. Were you able to verify if he called police at any points in this time?
He didn't.
And I want to also throw in that that last one was around 9 o'clock where he said, I'm going to call the hospitals. And then at 10 o'clock, an hour later, he says, okay, call the hospitals. When we found out that she was missing, we had pages of, New Orleans does not have a single hospital.
Sure.
New Orleans has hospitals.
Right.
It took literal hours with 2 people working on the list, going through all of the hospitals, the urgent cares, anywhere that she could possibly be. No, not in an hour, not happening.
Yeah.
Plus, she doesn't have any means to really be all that far. I mean, she hasn't taken a vehicle. She hasn't even taken her phone. So it's not like she can get a ride share or something like that. So, yeah, this is really the logic around this conversation is troubling.
Well, and I have to say that because of our previous conversations where she was like, I have to disappear completely. I have to evaporate into thin air if I plan to leave him and keep my life, because she was afraid that he was going to murder her if she tried to leave, because she was told that in no uncertain terms.
Right.
So there was a part of me that thought, well, maybe there was a plan C. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she pulled it off. She did the thing that she's been talking about having to do forever. And because maybe because I was hesitant to go get her because it wasn't logistically possible for me that day, maybe she was like, okay, I really have to get out of here. And maybe that's too close. He knows where she lives. I mean, I myself have relocated since all of this has gone down because I didn't feel safe in my own home anymore because I've gone after him very publicly. I believe I know what happened. And I felt like I was just waiting to get murdered sitting in my own home. So I've moved since then. So maybe in my mind, there was a slight possibility that she had done the Houdini. She had made her escape. And I just didn't know who had picked her up. And so that's why I hesitated to put it out publicly for several days. I just tried to get a hold of the police instead, because if she had escaped,
she would have called you.
She would have let me know she was safe, but also I didn't want to blow her cover and have her dragged back into the situation if she had managed to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I only wish that was the truth. That would absolutely be a much better outcome for all this, even if she had to disconnect from you because of being worried about her cover being blown.
Right.
Yeah. So we get to a day later and it looks like communication continues. Is this still a chain to you, Maria?
Yes.
Okay. And he is saying, I'm about to go full out on social media and every other asset I have to find out if my wife is safe. I have a child throwing up and needs to know her mom's okay. Here's the missing persons report. If you know where she is and that she's okay, I would appreciate you telling me before all of the world knows our personal problems. And then, of course, he includes this report down there. So we know that he definitely filed the missing persons report.
He was made to. He didn't want to. He was made to.
How was that? What was the mechanism for forcing him to do that?
When the cops went to his house, they said, well, it's a welfare check. You have to make a missing report.
Wow.
So because I called, I wasn't sure. I knew their address because I had it saved in Waze from when I picked her up and dropped her off at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So when I called, my first call to the police on the night she was missing, made me aware that she was missing. I called the wrong police station and they said, okay, well, where does she live? And I gave the address and they said, okay, well, you need to call the 3rd district. So then I called the 3rd district and the young lady that answered the phone, I was talking to her. I was very excited. I was trying to stay calm. I said, look, I was supposed to go get her. She's in an abusive relationship. She's very afraid of this guy. And now he's messaging me from her Facebook account and he says she's missing. And I need y'all to go over there and check on her. And when I was on the phone, because I had her on speakerphone, the message came through as a notification where he said, I just talked to the police. They said I have to wait 24 hours. I said, see, he's saying that he has to wait 24 hours. He just texted me that. He said, y'all told him that. She was like, well, nobody here told him that. That's a lie. We wouldn't tell him that because that's not true. She said, okay, we're on the way. Because that's suspicious. Why are you saying the police are telling me this when that's not something they would say?
Right.
So they went over there and if you look on that, I don't know if you can see the screenshot. Mm-hmm. It's like 1 or 2 in the morning when that's filed, when that's written up.
Yeah.
And according to one of the detectives on the case, when the police showed up, he tried to be really chummy with one of the officers, like, oh, hey, guy, you know me, because he'd seen him like at the local store or something. And the officer that responded was like, we're not going to do that right now. Like, we're not friends like that.
Yeah.
Like, answer the questions. And so he was trying to buddy him up instead of, like, who cares if your buddy pal friends recognize the cop that shows up? Your wife is missing.
Right.
According to you, vanished into thin air while you was nippy-napping.
Yeah. It looks like it says 1:57 a.m. on that report. So it looks like you take a very direct approach in terms of talking to him. He sends another message. This is really messing Grace up, not to mention other people too. There's something about that also nags at me when I feel like people are sometimes deflecting to their children. And just in the threads we've read already, I think this is the 3rd time he's actually putting Grace in the middle of this conversation.
He's Grace to control Jessica for years. And he exploits her because Grace is lovable and he is not.
Yeah. And you make a very direct response to him. If she left, it's because you're an a-hole to her. I'm 100% supportive of her doing that. The problem I'm having is I'm the person she would call, and I haven't heard from her since Monday. So either some random person in this big, dangerous city you live in has taken my friend, or you lost your crap because she was trying to leave, from my point of view. Because honestly, I can't even name one single other friend that she has left. It doesn't make sense that she would leave and not tell me something. Then he responds and gets a little defensive on it. You're right, as always. It's all about you. Thanks for helping her and us in this. And I can read the sarcasm in that pretty easily. You respond, don't even. If I hear anything from her, I'll be sure to let you know she's safe for Grace's sake. He says, plenty human of you. And you respond, any word yet? This might be a day or two later, it looks like. I've noticed some videos posted by her account Friday. What videos are you talking about there?
They're dog videos and no, hey, my wife is missing. No calling my parents, no calling, I mean, you would think that someone would do something like that. And he didn't. He called my parents a month after my sister went missing.
Yeah.
A month.
So he's posting dog videos on her account and then what? Showing them to Grace saying, hey, look, she's fine.
I don't know what his tactic was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his next statement is, I was trying to keep Grace's spirits up. I didn't know that they posted. What? I don't get it. So the only mechanism I can think of is you're trying to lie to the child and you're showing that there's videos posted and then saying, oh, look, yeah, mommy's somewhere because she just posted this video of a dog. Were they was it their dog or was it some other random dog?
It's just a video of a dog.
Okay.
He's very fixated on Belgian Malinois because they have a very I was in uniform effect to them. Mm-hmm. And he's very invested in this whole I was ever enlisted or served in any capacity, which is not true. Okay. But it's part of the facade he likes to facilitate. So he likes to wear random military-esque gear and walk his dog around the neighborhood and try to look very,
Was he ever enlisted?
He got kicked out of boot camp
after like a week.
Okay. And how do you know that where did that information come from?
Well, that came from family.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And I know even in terms of the cam work that they were doing, there was a character built up there that's once again much about appearances, right? It's a power couple that's doing this, which obviously we know is probably a character. And this is someone. Was he working at this time at all outside of the cam work job?
He has never had a job.
He can't hold down a job.
Yeah, so pretty interesting to consider yourself a power couple when you don't have income. Let's take a look.
He lives in his dad's house. He doesn't have any bills. He
inherited half of this home when his mother passed away.
Okay, gotcha.
But his father still lives there.
Right, man. Was his father there the night she disappeared or the day she disappeared?
I don't think Justin Sr. goes much of anywhere.
Okay, so we would think he was probably there. Has he been questioned or spoken to at all?
That's something you'd have to ask NOPD.
Okay. Okay. You guys, have you tried reaching out to him in any way?
Yes.
Okay. And have you been successful?
No.
Okay.
Except for on Twitter.
Okay.
When we had little words. But then he blocked me. So
he means Justin Sr.
Oh, Justin Sr. Or are you talking about Justin?
I was talking about Justin Sr. trying to reach out to him.
Oh, no,
I don't. Okay. I think there's actually like if there's a direct line to reach him, I'm not aware of it.
Gotcha. So we have the conversation continuing here. Maria, you have no idea what I've been doing here on the ground and with people in positions to help. I appreciate the posters and trust me when I tell you I have been nonstop. This is my whole life we're talking about. Whether you believe that or not, I believe is what he means, is out of my control. That's good to know, you respond. Like who? What are their names so the police can coordinate with them to look for her? So you're pressing him on what you think is a lie. He's saying he's pulling all these resources, and you're like, okay, who are they? We're going to get all this together, which in a real missing persons effort completely makes sense.
Welcome, effort. It's a welcome effort. And let me give you some background on this text.
Yeah.
So this is, I believe, Sunday, August 19th. I don't recall.
Yeah.
So
Monday.
Mm-hmm. So when I finally got someone from the New Orleans Police Department, because, okay, so they went out there the night I sent them over there. The detective called me back at like 5 or 6 that morning. And then it was like a constant game of phone tag for the rest of the day. Like I tried to call and didn't get any kind of, couldn't get anybody on the phone, couldn't get any traction. And then I called the desk at the 3rd District night and day, every day. And then finally Sunday afternoon, it was just like leaving messages for the detective, leaving messages. Sunday afternoon, I finally got an elderly woman on the phone that answered the phone. And like, I was pretty much hysterical by that point. And she, whatever it is she did to work her magic, finally got the detectives back in touch with me. And then they went over there and nobody answered the door. And then the next day they went over there again and they were like, well, we're going to check, maybe she's come home and she's just not allowed to talk to you now. Sometimes that happens, women leave for a couple days and then they get right back in the relationship and then they're not allowed to talk to their friends anymore. I was like, she's not there. She's missing. Like, I need you to stop being so dismissive. This is an emergency. And so they went over there and were knocking on the door and couldn't get anybody to come to the door. And he's in there texting me, you don't know what I'm doing here. So that's him being hostile to the fact that the police are at his door again and trying to get me to stop sending them over there.
Oh, wow. Wow. And then he responds, and this actually kind of firms up your conclusion about that. He responds, do you think I'm not on the phone or in person with the police? And you know that the police are literally at the door.
Yeah, because they were calling me. They were like, we're outside. He won't answer. And he's like, I'm in person with them. Okay, open your door. They're there. They would like to ask you questions. They're trying to help.
Wow. Wow. This is insane. It continues. He says, come on, Maria. You respond, you said you have people looking for her. Do you mean the police or friends of yours? I'm just not sure what people on the ground means. I'm trying to understand. He then says, friends at the TV station here I graduated with, head of K9, chief of fire investigation. I don't have time to type all of this at the moment. The head of central casting. It goes on. What? First of all, I used to be an actor, and I know central casting from my days in Los Angeles, and it was extras work. It was if they need people in the background, they go to central casting. They say, hey, we need 50 people for a street scene. We need you dressed up like it's 1980. Come on down and work for a day. And maybe you'll make $100 for working like, 10 or 12 hours or something like that. I looked before we did our interview today, and that's the same central casting that's out there. And that's essentially the same type of work. It's background work. What does talking to the head of central casting have to do with a missing persons investigation?
I don't know, but the man he's talking about is Ricky Hegwood. And it's funny because Ricky Hegwood just got done telling somebody, oh, I haven't heard from them in weeks. When he had just said, oh, I just talked to him. No, you didn't.
Wow.
That's a blatant lie. And none of the people he named off have anything to do with finding somebody that's missing.
Sure.
He's just, trying to name drop because everything's about seeming important to him.
Yeah.
Because he's not. He's never accomplished anything except for ruining Jessica's life.
Man, it is. It's a really tough situation that you guys are in. I'm so thankful that you have the three of you. I almost feel like you've got this good team that you have there to try to process and deal with all this. And I'm thankful you have that, because a lot of the times I'm talking to families and sometimes it's just one person that's trying to carry that torch and move things forward. But I'm really thankful you guys are pulling together for this. So do you think she knew about the unpaid child support debt that he has on him? Did you ever talk to her about that?
Not to my knowledge. But that having been said, even if she did know about it, she's loyal and would have glossed over it or otherwise that
Okay.
I don't know.
So
it wasn't him that was paying the child support. It was his mother who was paying the child support. And when she passed away, that's when the child support stopped.
Oh, okay.
And that's why he owed that $7,000. And
Gotcha.
almost $7,000.
I speculate that that's for the daughter that's an adult now, which is why it capped off at a certain point.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when she would reach out to you guys and talk about the ups and downs of this relationship, would she ever talk about money or debts being a stressor in what was going on?
No, not with me.
Okay. So it doesn't seem like that was really it might have been a stressor for him in particular, but it wasn't something that she was bringing out to you guys as being a problem in their relationship. One of the questions I asked on the last episode, maybe you can help me with some insight on this, is, Maria, we have her reaching out to you on that Monday and being very clear that she's got to get out. She's got to get away from this. Did Jessica have a car of her own? He does say that she has her car left behind. Did she have a car of her own?
They have a vehicle. It's an older, I don't know if it's a Range Rover or a Land Rover. I can never keep those two things straight.
Sure.
But the registration was never up to date on it. Money was not well spent, I think it's fair to say, in the house. Like, he got a brand new motorcycle when she came into some money, but the car didn't get registered and the shocks didn't get fixed. Okay. And apparently it had some issues with the suspension, which is why instead of her driving all the way to my house in Mobile for Thanksgiving, I went and got her, because that was one of the issues when I said, come spend Thanksgiving with me. And she was like, well, our truck's not doing great. And I was like, yeah, what's Thanksgiving without a road trip? I'll just come get you. It's 2 hours, 2.5 hours, no big deal. I'll drive over. I'll pick you up. You'll come. It'll be too crowded in my house for a couple days. That's how Thanksgiving's supposed to feel. And then I'll drive you back. It's no big deal.
Yeah. So that vehicle was kind of commingled, though. That was kind of shared between them. She didn't have a car that she had like before the relationship that she brought into this relationship that she could have packed her stuff up in and just left, right?
Right.
I don't know what she did have.
She had the Avalon.
She had the Avalon, but it was already in bad shape. But she drove it into its grave.
Gotcha. So I just wanted to kind of get your feelings, and I think I know where the answer is going to go on this, but I just want to hear it from you guys. What do you think stopped her from leaving on her own that night? She could have possibly called for a ride share or, got a cab or just gotten out, tried to get to a shelter. What do you think was really the thing that kept her stuck?
I don't think she had the chance.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. She,
I know she stayed there because she loved Grace. She wanted to make sure that Grace was going to be okay. So I don't know if maybe that stopped her, but like my sister Amanda said, I just don't think she had the chance. I don't think she had the chance. And I know, I'm not going to reveal how I know, but on Tuesday, she spent the entire day cleaning. And just to give you a little background, I've been in Jessica's situation before. I've had to escape with my kids and just what I could pack in my car from a completely terrible, abusive relationship and just flee in the dead of night and like kind of make the best of it and start my life over from scratch. So one of the things that you do when you're planning on abandoning your entire life is you clean. You get your ducks in a row, because you're going to need birth certificate, keepsake, social security card. And these are all things that you, like, when you're just living somewhere, you kind of stick in safe places so you don't lose it. And then where the heck did that go? So to really make sure you have everything you need that you can't bear the thought of never seeing again,
you clean. You make sure your house is as organized as possible. You get your ducks in a row. You stick things aside that you plan on taking with you. If you need medications, you get those refilled.
Right.
You know, you do all the things you have to do to go on a trip you're never coming back from. And so the fact that she was cleaning her house from top to bottom on Tuesday tells me that she was planning. And when I asked her, because she was like, you know, can you please just come get me? I said, okay, well, what do you want to do about your stuff? Like, you just gotta make peace with it and just let it go. Because she was worried about finding a home for the dog, because that's her dog, and he would do God knows what to it. And my ex-husband shot my dog after I left, so I can sympathize with that thought.
Wow.
You have to put self-preservation first. And she was really having a hard time with all of the various things, Grace and the dog, and, you know, all of her stuff that she's accumulated. You have to let that go. And that's really like dying a little bit. So that was a big step. It's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about dogs and realizing how close she was found to the home, do we know if they ever took any search dogs out around the house to try to find her, the authorities?
That would have to be something you would ask NOPD.
Okay.
To our knowledge,
Yeah.
to my knowledge, they never searched for her at all.
Yeah.
Because she was very close and very easy to find, and a minimal amount of effort would have turned her up.
It seems like it. It does seem like it. And she had a dog as well. And if Justin was really interested in looking for her, it might have been as simple as him taking that dog outside on a leash, right?
Here's the way I see it. If Justin would have went out searching for her, then he would have found her, and it would not have been me and my sister and our cousin who found her.
Yeah.
So I don't think Justin searched for her at all. He never even shared a missing flyer of her on any social media.
You don't search for things when you know exactly where it is.
Well, and think about, I mean, we're having this conversation today because you guys know that I've got a good amount of followers that care about people and are willing to try to help them. He supposedly, with their business, also has a number of followers to the point where he's opening up a GoFundMe and trying to get them to donate to that. But he's not using that same crowdsourcing mentality for, hey, let me get the poster out so people can look for her.
Nope.
And these are the people that eventually would have his account shut down because of inappropriate comments and other things happening. It's amazing. There's so many aspects that we've talked about today that are touching on domestic violence. And Maria, thank you so much for opening up about your personal struggles with that and your considerations. I think these are very important conversations that we need to have. And I also just want to include, for anyone out there, if you're hearing things in this conversation that are tickling in the back of your brain that you might be in a situation like this, please, 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 please get help. Reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233, or you can visit them at www.thehotline.org. They've got resources. They've got the advice you need. I mean, Maria was just starting the conversation with the types of considerations that you need to do if you're going to leave a situation like this. They can help you. So please reach out and find that help. And if it's not them, find it somewhere else, and please get out of that situation. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us today. And we will have you back next week to discuss much more about this case.
Thank you for having us.
Can I just throw one random thing in here?
Please do.
Just as somebody, and this is probably just because I kind of got street cred when it comes to like bouncing when things get bad, why she trusted me with stuff because
you've been through it before.
Because I've been through it, like literally been through it. But I know you're embarrassed if you're in that situation. I know that your pride hurts that you have let somebody treat you so bad. And I know that your pride hurts because you feel like you have nobody left, because people in this situation, step one is alienate everybody. Mm-hmm. And I know your family is tired of you and your terrible relationship. I know you've lost all your friends in your terrible relationship. And I know you feel like you have nobody left. He couldn't run me off because I saw him for who he was. I wasn't going anywhere. Like, I recognized him as a person because that's the same person I divorced. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I knew that she needed somebody that wasn't so put off by him that she wasn't going to have me either. So if you're in this situation, your family's not done with you, they're done with your situation. And when you are finally ready to leave, the people that don't have anything to do with you right now, they are waiting for you. Your friends are waiting for you to come back to life. Your family's waiting for you to come back to life. Get a storage unit. Get a P.O. box. Mail things to yourself. Go stash keepsakes. There are baby pictures of me I'll never see again, because when my ex's parents had to go clean out our house after he abandoned it, everything got thrown in the trash. My children's baby blankets that I didn't think to take. Go get the smallest, tiniest, cheapest storage unit you can and put things in there. Get a bank account that does not send mail to your house. Put 50 cents left from your grocery money in that bank account.
Yep.
Do what you can. If you've got the backs of your earrings, if you've got a back of your earring that's made of real gold, you can pawn that.
Right. Right.
You know, you have things around your house that you don't know. When I left, I went and pawned all of my jewelry, whether it mattered to me or not. And I told the lady at the pawn shop what I was going through, and she gave me way more than my jewelry was worth, because she said, you run and you don't look back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you also hit on a really important thing about realize the mechanisms that are controlling you in that situation.
They will all fall away.
It's all a story. And it's as long as you're believing in it, it's going to keep you stuck. But as soon as you can start seeing outside of it and maybe trusting friends that you're speaking to about this, hey, that's not realistic. He's not going to have the freaking army after you. What is he saying? You know, that's such a big part of it, is being able to melt down that fake reality and get out and start your new one. So yeah, thank you so much, Maria. That was so well said. And I know is going to help other people. I really appreciate that. Thank you, ladies. We will have you back next week to continue this conversation. I am just so moved by these strong women. I'm so moved at how they're supporting each other. Despite the fact that Jessica is gone, she still has a big team of great support. And I'm so proud that I was able to bring them on the channel here today. And I hope that you guys feel that as well. This case still needs tips called in. I know someone out there has some critical detail that can move this investigation forward. If you're that person, check the description box down below. Please call it in. It might be you seeing a Range Rover driving down the street at a certain time, or maybe there was some other way that she could have been transported. It could be something that small. That's the break in this case that we're all looking for. So please call that in. Join us next week where we will discuss the family finding Jessica and details that have been recently released from the autopsy report that may give us a better indication of what actually happened to her. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you back here on Monday with a brand new episode of Case Cracked on the Lord and Arts channel.